ओम श्री गणेशाय नमः। ओम श्री सरस्वत्यै नमः। ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। सच्चिदानन्दरूपाय विश्वोत्पत्त्यादिहेतवे तापत्रयविनाशाय श्रीकृष्णाय वयं नुमः। श्रीकृष्णाय वयं नुमः। वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं। कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं। मूकं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे परमानन्दमाधवं। परमानन्दमाधवं परमानन्दमाधवम्। ॐ वाङ्मे मनसि प्रतिष्ठिता मनो मे वाचि प्रतिष्ठितम् आविरावीर्म एधि वेदस्य महानिस्थः श्रुतं मे मा प्रहासीः अनेनाधीतेन अहोरात्रान् सन्दधामि हृदं वदिष्यामि सत्यं वदिष्यामि तन्माम् अवतु तद्वक्तारमवतु अवतु माम् अवतु वक्तारमवतु वक्तारम्। ॐ शान्ति शान्तिः शान्तिः। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्परां। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पाद शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं। शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। ॐ विश्वं दर्पणदृश्यमाननगरी तुल्यं निजान्तर्गतं पश्यन्नात्मनि मायया बहिरिवोद्भूतं यथा निद्रया यत्साक्षात् कुरुते प्रबोधसमये स्वात्मानमेवाद्वयं तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये। श्री कृष्ण गोविंद हरे मुरारे हे नाथ नारायण वासुदेवा जिह्वे पिबस्वामृतमेतदेव गोविंद दामोदर माधवेति हे कृष्ण हे यादव हे सखेति, हे कृष्ण हे यादव हे सखेति, हे कृष्ण हे यादव हे सखेति। नारायण 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 नारायण। Verse number 22, chapter 3. We have already read the verse. I'll read the verse first and then read Bhagavan Shankaracharyaji's Bhashya on the same, and then we'll take up the meaning from where we left in the last session. But before I read the verse, I want to read the connecting Bhashya of Bhagavan Shankaracharyaji, connecting the verse number 21 to 22. It's very good. So I'll read that first, explain the meaning, and then I'll read the verse number 22. Bhagavan Shankaracharya ji says, to connect the verse number 21 to 22, Yadi atrite loka sangraha kartavyatayam vipratipattihi tarhi mam kim na pashyasi. Hey Arjun, why Bhagwan is giving this verse number 22 is what Bhagwan Shankaracharya is explaining. That even though Supreme Consciousness Bhagwan Krishna has explained Yadyad Acharati Shrestha Tattat Deva Tarojanaha Sayat Pramanam Kurute Lokas Tadanu Vartate. To motivate Arjun, Bhagwan is saying all those people who are considered great men in the society, they are continuously working. Why? If their action is for the protection of the world around on them, world and the beings around them, and they are continuously working for the nourishment of the world. That was to motivate Arjun. So Bhagwan Shankaracharya connects that now. Now you know why Bhagwan is giving this verse and giving his own example. Yadi atrite loka sangraha kartavyatayam vipratipatihi. In case the example of great men I gave you and their dutifulness I spoke about, that out of their duty towards the nourishment of the world around them and the beings around them, and they are doing and continuously acting, if you have any kind of a doubt, kartavyatayam vipratipatihi, if you have any kind of a doubt about regarding that entire construct and the example I gave of the great men, and you still have doubt about, maybe they are doing it for that, maybe they are not doing it for that. If that is the case, then tarhi, if that is the case, then mam kim na pashyasi. Why don't you look at me? I am also continuously acting in the world. I am continuously engaged in action in the world. For who? For the protection of the world. So to give that example of Bhagwan himself, Bhagwan is giving this particular verse. Now I'll read the verse number 22. We'll read the verse first, read Bhagwan Shankaracharyaji's bhashya on it, and then we'll take up the meaning. Bhagwan says in verse number 22, chapter 3, न मे पार्थास्ति कर्तव्यम् त्रिषु लोकेषु किञ्चन नानवाप्तमवाप्तव्यम् वर्त एव च कर्मणि न मे पार्थास्ति कर्तव्यम् त्रिषु लोकेषु किञ्चन नानवाप्तमवाप्तव्यम् वर्त एव च कर्मणि. Bhagwan Shankaracharya in his Bhashya says, न मे मम पार्थ न अस्ति न विद्यते कर्तव्यम त्रिषु अपि लोकेषु किंचन किंचिद अपि कस्मात् न अनवाप्तम अप्राप्तम अवाप्तव्यम प्रापणीयम तथापि वर्ते एव च कर्मणि अहम. Brilliant way Bhagwan is explaining about himself. I told you as a background before I took up this verse in the last session, it's not easy to give one's own example. Why? Because all those, especially great Mahatmas and Rishis or God Himself during His avatar when He comes, He has to look at the masses. Masses mean He has to look at all the beings because all the beings belong to them. And when and great men or great Rishis, when they serve the world, they do not pick and choose that I'll serve him, I'll not serve that person. They don't do like that. Okay, so when they serve, they have the intention of serving everyone in this creation. And when they serve everyone, since people are at varied levels of evolution, but even though people are at varied level of evolution, some people who are at higher level of evolution can also have deep faith in God or great rishis. Some people who are at mediocre level of evolution can also have deep faith, probably coming from punya and grace of God from their previous life, deep faith and conviction towards and devotion towards their guru and God. And even some people who are at lower evolution levels also, maybe because of their vasanas and karma, they're at lower levels of evolution, but there can also be cases at those level of people also, that they have from the previous lives what the hard work they have done, their correction of faith they have done, the punya they have earned, the devotional activities they have done, the service they have done, and because of which grace of God is on them, they also have deep faith and conviction about great rishis and guru or God. So, since people are at different levels of evolution, when a great rishi or a guru or God or helps them, people with different varied level, they will not do the same act with all the three levels of people. Some may require a different level, some may require a different level, some may require a different level. The best example I'll give you is, if you ever get to listen or had listened to Srimad Bhagavat, you will know when the story in the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavat comes about Bhagwan Krishna's story. Bhagwan Krishna's story is filled with stories of lots and lots of devotees. And it's not that his approach to all the devotees was a same similar methodology. No, Bhagwan had, the example I'll give you is that one set of example is about gopis, another set of example is about, or Nanda Baba and Yashoda ji. Another set of example is about all those people who have lived in Vrindavan and all. So his approach, his way of giving love to them, his act with each one of them is different, because he's Bhagwan. So he cannot say that I'll only look for people with higher level of evolution. I'll not talk about the lower. It does not work like that. In the upcoming Bangalore satsang, I'm going to talk about that when I pick up the story of Bhagwan Shiva and Mother Parvati and their conversation from which emanates the essence of Ramayana. And there I will talk about the different levels of faith I'm talking about. And there one thing I'll speak about Bhagwan Shiva also. Oh, one thing which Veda also talks about Bhagwan Shiva is, Bhagwan Shiva is the Ishvara for Sarvatyakta. All who have been abandoned in the world by everyone also, Bhagwan Shiva takes care of them. See, that when I come to that story, I'll explain you at that point in time. So yes, when they and in Bhagwan Shiva's story itself, when I'll come there, I'll talk to you about that. That when he's with his ganas, his way of acting is different. When he's with Jnani Nam Sabhapati, his way of acting is different. When he is with Mother Uma, Mother Parvati ji, his way of acting is different. His Bhagwan Shiva is, I already told you, his Adi Guru. So a guru is one who is always filled with Brahma Vidya. And it's not that Brahma Vidya is ever going to leave. And Mother Parvati is Sakshat Brahma Vidya Swarupini. And that is why they both are always together. So, when it comes to Bhagwan Shiva, when he is with different sect of his devotees, his way of acting is different. That is why you will see many things about many acts of Bhagwan Shiva, many leelas of Bhagwan Shiva. But you cannot classify Bhagwan Shiva as only doing one particular act and not with the other. That is our mistake. That is our stupidity. We have not understood Bhagwan Shiva then. If we understand and him like that. Bhagwan Shiva is Adi Guru. He's always, irrespective of who Bhagwan Shiva is with, he's always filled with Brahma Vidya. Irrespective of where he is, who he is talking to, when he's talking to Bhagwan Vishnuji, Bhagwan Narayan, he is talking from that level. No, they both are the same, only with different roles. So anyway, I'll come to that point. So Oh, when it comes to a living in great Rishi, a Guru, or Bhagwan during his avatar also, Bhagwan meets many people. And another example I can give up from our history itself is of Ramayana is during the lifespan of Bhagwan Ram, when he was on this earth in the Treta Yuga I'm talking about, he met so many kind of people. You will see in Ramcharitmanas there are conversation of his conversation with the boatman, the Kevat Prasang. Bhagwan has interacted. It's not that I am the king and I was the crowned prince. I am Bhagwan, so I will not talk to you. It's not like that. So when he is talking to the boatman who is ferrying him across the river, the Kevat Prasang, you see the way of interaction of Bhagwan. He's never stepped down from his level ever. Even when he is conversing with Ravan, with whom Bhagwan is fighting a war, you should see the conversation, the way Bhagwan has conversed with Ravan. Bhagwan gives Ravan an opportunity. Even if you surrender now and hand over Sita ji back to me, I'll forgive you. You should read Ramayana to see those conversations. Bhagwan Ram's way of interacting has met so many people. When the Sita ji Swayamvar happens, then the conversation comes there. The description comes in the Ramayana that when Bhagwan Ram and Bhagwan Lakshman went for the Swayamvar, at that time, all those people, all those kings, or around the world had come for the Sita ji Swayamvar. Each one of them, when they were looking at Bhagwan Ram, they saw Bhagwan Ram in a different way. Those people who were cruel, they saw Bhagwan Ram as Dandadikari, the one who is there to punish them. Those who were soft and devoted, they saw Bhagwan Ram as supreme consciousness stepping down. Those who had Vatsalya Bhav, the fatherly and the care and love, they saw Bhagwan Ram as a Kishore, small child who has come for a Swayamvar. So it's not that Bhagwan Ram was 6 7 times kinds over there. No, the same one saw the vision of the person who was present there. Each one of them saw Bhagwan Ram with the way their own intellect was, their own vision was. It's not that Bhagwan became many over there. He was one only. But that is how we even see the world. So when it comes to avatar of Bhagwan, during the span of avatar, Bhagwan interacts with so many people. Bhagwan Krishna's avatar, he interacted with so many people. He is with gopis also, was very different. He went and conversed with Kans also. It was very different. And everyone, it is so different because that is how they are when they come into this world and when they act in the world. You will notice that Bhagwan Krishna's interaction with Vasudevji and Devkiji is very different. Bhagwan Krishna's interaction with Nand Baba and Yashoda ji is so different. I told you in one of the podcast sessions also, Leelas of Bhagwan are Leenati iti Leela, to make us immersed in the glory of God, to make us understand the Aishwarya of God. We use the word to enable us to become conscious of an entity called God who is far more glorious, far more powerful, and he is the superpower who is actually running this whole creation. To make us understand that. Otherwise, what happens is in our own spree of ego, sometimes we feel that God is not there, and atheist kind of thoughts also start entering us. We don't consider this is the world, and what is so great about this, and it is your own misunderstanding. Nothing goes wrong for God if you believe in him or if you don't believe in him. Actually, things go right and wrong for us, provided we believe in him or we don't believe in him. So it is actually for us. For God, this creation will run. Don't worry whether you believe in him in him also or not. He will still have the power to control you and manage you. You don't need to worry about that. It's not that Bhagwan is only there for theists and not there for atheists. No, it's not like that. The creation is God is running this whole creation. He is managing the theist also and managing the atheist also. Whether you like it or not, you are within his ambit of law of this whole creation. None of us are outside it. So I was saying that Bhagwan in this particular verse is talking about this fact that Arjun, and you may ask this question, then why are you acting, Bhagwan? Why are you acting? As explained in the last session, the flip side of how we watch this world is this: many of those people who lived in Dwapar Yuga also could only see the external acts of Bhagwan Krishna. They could not see that from which standpoint Bhagwan is acting. They did not see the inner evolution of Bhagwan. They could not see that from which state Bhagwan is operating. They just could not see that. Why? Because we see the world the way world is shown to us by our own mind. And our evolution plays a big role in how we see this particular world. You need to understand that. As I was giving the example of Bhagwan Ram also, when he went for the Swayamvar, I was talking about at this also. In the same way, a man of realization who has attained firm abidance in the self, well, that man of realization also, you can only see his external acts. You can never see his inner evolution, his inner standpoint, and his inner awakening you cannot see. So, what you see externally as an action is, for a man of realization, I'm talking to you, post realization, the action you see being done by the man of realization is only an expression of his prarabdha. And I told you the three kinds of prarabdha. I've already discussed that. I'm not repeating it here. His state of mental evolution, his state of three gunas within him, none of us can see. I'm just giving you the live example. When I used to see my guru, who and he is giving a satsang, he's taking a satsang, and he's teaching us about the scripture from the stage. I can see him talking, but the way he used to come up with things, you can only slightly feel from the level of realization of him. And so, how much clarity he was bringing in terms of what he was talking. And that clarity is not something, it's not a book knowledge at all. You can see from where which standpoint is coming from. You can feel, provided you have the correct faith in him, you have developed that faith in him, you have developed a kind of devotion towards him. You have decided to serve him to gain even small droplet of where he is. And I'm telling you honestly, when I used to see my guru with the small droplets of what he used to give in terms of knowledge, even if those small droplets could reach us or touch us, telling you the level of awakened we used to feel, it is an unbelievable experience. It is a surprise in itself. It is the biggest surprise in itself. With that drop itself, we used to have that awakened feeling that, God, if with drop itself, if that awakened feeling is there, what will happen and if the whole knowledge sets into us? It's an unbelievable thought. So the same thing is about Bhagwan. And the leelas of Bhagwan is basically to to develop up the right attitude of understanding God, knowing his glory in this world, knowing his power, understanding where we stand. And see, the word is understanding where we stand. So understanding is that when we stand under something, that is what understanding is all about. No, so here, that is the glory of Bhagwan. When he went to Mathura, Bhagwan's name was such that wherever he went. Now you see, whatever story you know about Bhagwan Krishna, when he was born also, Kans was always worried that has my Kal, the one who's supposed to kill me, already born? He kept on searching. Where and Bhagwan was such, even though Vasudevji took him across the river Yamunaji and gave him to Nand Baba and all try to hide him. But can the glory be ever hidden? Where will you hide the glory? Bhagwan, so in from the childhood itself, was so glorious. Wherever he went, he touched everyone who's ever came near him. That is the beauty of Bhagwan. Even now, when we hear the stories, don't we get touched by his stories? Don't we want to know more about him? That's the beauty of Bhagwan. So Bhagwan says in this particular verse, Arjun, look at me. Na anavaptam am avaptavyam. Arjun, there is nothing in this world which is left to be attained by me, which is left to be gained by me. Why? Because everything in this cosmos belongs to me. Everything I've already gained, I've already attained. And remember, when Bhagwan Krishna's story, I do not know why Srimad Bhagavad is coming again and again, because I'm so much indebted to Srimad Bhagavad, because my spiritual journey started with Srimad Bhagavad. So, Srimad Bhagavad is very, very dear to me. So, that is why probably it is coming in my words again and again. In Srimad Bhagavad, you will see that the way Bhagwan used to tackle situations, whether it is of Kunti ji, whether it is going to Mahabharat war. Think of this thing that when Arjun went to ask Bhagwan, will you be my charioteer? A charioteer is supposed to be facing the war from the front. Even the person who is in that chariot, who is being driven in that chariot, is sitting behind him. So why will Bhagwan ever choose to face the war from the front? There is so much gross misunderstanding of Bhagwan Krishna, and there is so much stupidity being spread in this society about him. It is lack of our own understanding. You've never understood a wee bit of Bhagwan. Forget about or trying to talk about his Leela or know what is Leela. Bhagwan, being Bhagwan, supreme consciousness himself, agreed to become the charioteer of Arjun and face the war from the front. Bhagwan could have easily said, why are you dragging me into the war, Arjun? I'm sitting coolly here. Let me sit down and relax. Why should I face the heat of the war? I didn't, invite this war. I didn't, I tried my best to actually avoid war only. I went and spoke to them. Hey, it's your war. You only face it. Bhagwan could have easily said it. But no, why did he even decide to face the things from the front? Why? Because Bhagwan, even after being Bhagwan, God, after being God also, even though there is nothing left to be attained in this world for him, there is nothing which does not belong to him, still he decides to continuously act. Look at the life of Bhagwan Krishna. Right from the time he was born, he has been doing work from that time itself. Even the time when the time is there for the child to play in the cradle, Bhagwan was acting right from that time. And till the time Bhagwan decided to wrap up his Leela on the earth and go back to Vaikunt Loka, or become invisible in this world. I should use that word for avatara. Decide to become invisible in this world. uh, Till that time, you see the life of Bhagwan Krishna, he was continuously acting. Continuously acting. For the sthapana for us re-establishing Dharma, Bhagwan did not even leave one chance. And all those people who had immense amount of faith in him always used to seek advice from him, like the Pandavas. Bhagwan always paved way for them to walk the path of Dharma. Never let them sway from the path of Dharma for them at all. So Bhagwan in here says, I have nothing left to be attained, and my greatness is already established right from the time I was born. My name is already, everybody knows in this creation, and my name, I'm already well known, so my greatness is also established. Still, if I am continuously engaged in work, or in spite of that fact that my greatness is already established and I have nothing left to be attained, just think for a while that if I decide not to act, if I decide not to work, because there is no people work because they have things left to be attained. There are things which are left to be gained. That is one of the reason to push us into hard work. So Arjun, if I stop working, just imagine all those people who have understood me as great or accepted my greatness. This my inaction and or my laziness in doing action or my not doing action will become one of the cause in their intellect, a thought in their intellect, that probably his greatness is because there is nothing to be worked in this world at all. There is no act to be done in this world. That is probably become the reason for his greatness. This is a misunderstanding which will sprout out in the intellect of all those who look up to me. Arjun, this thought may arise in the mind of people that maybe the greatness of people come from the fact that when they do not have to act at all. So inaction will become one of the reason for understanding the greatness of people. And because of this misunderstanding, the whole cycle of this society will get spoiled. Whole cycle of the society will get disrupted. So Arjun, if the reason for my greatness has becomes a thought in the mind of people that doing nothing is one of the greatest reason of the greatness of Bhagwan, then that means I will provide proof. I'll become the proof of greatness, that inaction is the biggest cause of greatness. And that proof of inaction being the cause of greatness will be termed against my name. Sri Krishna is the example that if you do nothing, that is one of the reasons you will become great. Arjun, if this kind of an example I set in front of the people, then remember, whatever little bit possibility of action is there in people, people will leave that also. And if people leave whatever little bit possibility of action is there also, then just remember, this world will become very poor. How will you survive if everybody inacts? Who will work in the field? Who will produce things for you? What will you eat? What will what will you wear? How will you drink if everyone stops working? Everyone will reach the level of poor, what you call that, they'll all become poor. They'll become underdeveloped. How will you see this world like that? So that is the biggest reason why it becomes imperative for me to continuously act, even though I've got nothing left to be attained, even though I've got nothing left to be gained in this particular world. And one fact about we all human beings, we all know, is that all of us want maximum amount of pay or salary or money for minimum amount of work. That is a tendency, human tendency in all of us, that for small amount of work we should get big amount of money so that I don't have to work at all. And remember one thing, if this example is set of Bhagwan, that because he's not working, he's not acting, that is one of the reason for his greatness, then remember, this whole world will become very, very poor. Survival will become very difficult. And I'm telling you very honestly, the truth we should all know is, one of the reason why our country, he has been developing nation for such a long period of time is this particular fact. What? We all want to work, but we all want a job, but no one wants to work. We all, and if anybody else we see us working, I'm telling you about the government setup, in our country for a long period of time. Now things are changing slowly, but for a long period of time in the government setup, my father was himself at government service, so I have seen this live example, that oh, people working in the government service, most of them, I'm not talking about all of them, the majority of them at some point in time were such that they wanted a government job, used to be such that this job security, nobody is going to throw you out, whether you perform, whether you underperform, it doesn't matter at all. So what used to happen, even some people who used to overperform, they used to adjust their performance to normacy, or they will also fall into the bracket of underperformance. People have lost performance because of that. Why? Because there the tendency was that we all want job, but no one wanted to work. And either the person will not be available in the seat at all for work, he'll be doing other things, roaming around doing whatever, but his job is there, nobody is going to throw him out. And if somebody in the office is working hard, they used to call him a stupid. Are you a fool? In government job you are working, why? Government is not going to cut your pay, they are not going to overpay you also, so why you have to work? So they used to put down people working hard also. So over a period of time, even those who used to work hard, they also used to think, doesn't matter, I'm not getting anything extra, so why should I work? And without doing also, if somebody is getting salary, then then why should we even work? And that is one of the reason why our country remained developing for a long period of time and became poor. Our status is now a little bit going up because mindset is slowly changing. And we used to give examples of the West, that how wealthy they are, how developed they are. They are not developed because with a magic band someone gave them that. They worked hard for it. They worked hard to reach the level they are. And if they can reach, why can't we reach? The only thing is we have to change our mindset and set out into working. And in those times they used to give example of each other to talk. You know, this person is working so hard, doesn't understand, is not going to lead him anywhere. They used to give examples of each other, and slowly gradually they made all of them evasive of work, most of them evasive of work. And towards action, they used to have a very low level of action. Who acts here sitting in the work? I remember when this new government came, initially they had a lot of struggle to force people to come on time in government offices, because they used to come 11 a.m. till 11 a.m. Nobody is there also. People are waiting, customers are waiting, doesn't matter, they will walk in at 11, sit down and have tea first, laze around here and there, then the lunch time comes, and then half of the day is gone, do a little bit of file movement here and there, and then that's all, day is over. Because of that, over a period of time in that generation, and the what you call that heen bhav, means that low level towards the the low level seeing towards the action came into their mind. They used to see action as a very low thing. They never used to consider hard work and action as anything superior at all. They always used to consider it low. And because of that, slowly, gradually, our, our economy started to go down. The productions, and even in the private front also, the people with that attitude, if they go private, will also not boom. They will not grow also. Slowly gradually industry started going down, product quality started going down, because for quality and all you have to work. So the moment some supervisory vision or something is not there, people will evade work, and the quality will go down. The quality goes down, you have to understand it's a competitive world. Slowly gradually things will go down. We keep giving example of the West, we keep giving example of China, but we fail to see their work culture. They have reached there because of their work culture. We need to understand this thing, that the work culture need to be developed in our thought process. We need to be told how to work. Actually, we need to be taught how to work, and we have to all stand up and take the onus that we will work. And that way Bhagwan is giving his own example. With this, I'll move into the next verse number 23. Because verse number 23, 24, they're all connected. 22, 23, and 24 all are connected verse. I'll take up the verse number 23 first. I'll read the verse and Bhagwan Shankaracharya ji's Bhashya, and we'll take up the verse. Verse number 23, chapter 3. यदि ह्यहं न वर्तेयं जातु कर्मण्यतन्द्रितः mama vartmanuvartante manushya partha sarvashah यदि ह्यहं न वर्तेयं जातु कर्मण्यतन्द्रितः मम वर्त्मानुवर्तन्ते मनुष्याः पार्थ सर्वशः. Now Bhagwan is continuing his example and taking his own example into the next level. What happens if he stops acting? Arjun, if I don't work, or if I start to portray laziness in my action in the world, then it is highly possible that people will give example of my way of working, my laziness, my inaction as the reference point for following in their life. Now one thing you need to remember, one problem of people looking up to others is also this thing that when they see in a person, there are broad spectrum of things to be seen in a person's character, nature, habit, and the way of living. Okay, now for example, people, when we talk about people, I'm talking about people in this society, even if they may have been established as great men in the society. I'm not talking about rishis right now. I'm not talking about man of realization and great saints. I'm not talking about God also. I'm talking about all those people who have been in kept as great men and have been placed as great men in the society by history or by whatever you can say. Now you will see all those people, they are humans. They will have a broad spectrum of habits, character, nature, the way they interact, the way they act, the way they dress, and all. One thing which happens is, for example, in that broad spectrum of things they have, there are, I'm just giving you as an example, there are four things good which have made them reach that stature of greatness. Okay. And it's not the four thing only which is contained in that person, right? There are other things also, and there are another 10 things, for example, which are not good. Now what happens with people when they see is that when they consider somebody as great and they start following, they will look at the whole spectrum. They will not look at those four things which made that person great. They will not recognize that. They will try to even copy wrong things also. See, that is a problem we need to understand. Anyway, so Bhagwan says, people looking up to me will catch hold of, oh, my laziness if I don't act, or my inaction as the point of reference for reference point in their life, and they will conveniently overlook the hard work I'm doing, which I'm just saying now for our great men I'm talking about. People will follow the wrong things and conveniently overlook those four things which made that person great, because those four things require hard work. And we are all averse to hard work. We want things in shortcut. Somebody went to Puja Gurudev also and said, after a few days satsang, one reporter met Puja Gurudev while Puja Gurudev was catching a train and to go back to Mumbai from some place. He said, he saw Gurudev in Okar. He said, I heard you speak about Vedanta. Can you give me Vedant in a short form, in a few words, in a capsule form? This is one of the problems. We all want shortcuts. So Puja Gurudev, people said, no, it's not like that. 7 days satsang can be given to you in a capsule or something like that. So Puja Gurudev is Puja Gurudev. His way of interaction was brilliant. His brilliancy was at that different level altogether. So brilliant. Puja Gurudev also said, don't worry, I'll answer. He was a press reporter. Puja Gurudev said, yeah, Vedant can be told to you in one word also. The whole Vedanta gist is undress and embrace. That's all he said, and he boarded the train. He went off. Now, layman, undress and embrace means what? He may not even understand. But only those people who have done a little bit of Vedanta only will understand. Yes, undress from all that you have acquired and understood yourself to be and embrace the truth. That is what he meant as a gist of the whole Vedanta. So Bhagavan says, Arjun, people will conveniently overlook the hard work I'm doing and pick up those factors that, probably because Bhagwan does not act at all and, sits down and in his laziness just spends time in his palace. That is probably one of the reason of his greatness. They will conveniently overlook the hard work. Bhagwan says Jatu here means most of the times probably they will means Jatu means probably they will look at that aspect. Atandritaha means uh, Atandrita means if I do not end up acting without any kind of laziness. Atandrita means unless and until I act without any kind of laziness continuously, if I am not seen in the eyes of people as one who has no laziness at all, without any bit of laziness, is not continuously working, then people may take that example, well, that uh, of my inaction as an example and start following in that in their life. So I should be seen in the eyes of people, well, as someone who does not have any amount of laziness at all and is continuously engaged in action. Remember both the things, huh? Do not see any aspect of laziness at all and also is continuously engaged in action. Then Bhagavan says, Mama Vartma Sarvashah. The path I lead people into is something which is followed by majority of masses in this creation. And not only in Dwapar Yuga, in for the further yugas which come in also. Even in Kali Yuga also, Bhagwan Krishna is so much worshipped. So they will also take that same example. That's why it becomes imperative, or it becomes my duty to lead people by the correct example that you will see in the action of supreme consciousness Bhagwan Krishna, that not even for a moment you will see a wee bit of laziness in any act of Bhagwan. Neither you will see him sitting idle. When he was a kid in Vrindavan at that time, and Bhagwan used to take the cattle for grazing. He used to take care of the cattle, and that is one of the reason why Gopal became his name. Gopalaka became Gopal, the one who protects and takes care of the cattle. Go means actually cow. So cattle is the one who protects and takes care of the cattle became Gopal. So Bhagwan's name became Gopal all because of that. But if they see me with any amount of laziness or inaction, remember the society will take the wrong example, and slowly, gradually, the attitude of people to look away from action, karma vimukta, will start to grow up, become averse towards hard work, and will grow in the society, will start to creep up in the society, and I will be held responsible for that at act of people. It will be like as if in a distant way, means in an indirect way, I will be the one who will be held responsible for destroying these worlds. I'll become responsible. One thing I forgot to mention in the last verse, Bhagwan said Trishu Lokeshu. When I talk about there is nothing to be attained by Bhagwan, and there is nothing left to be attained by Bhagwan in all the three worlds. Three worlds means the middle world is earth, upper world and lower world, and put together becomes three worlds. So there is nothing in this whole cosmos left to be attained by Bhagwan. I forgot to mention and highlight that, so I'm mentioning it now. So Bhagwan says here, So, indirectly, I will be the one who will be held responsible, or will be become responsible for, or becoming the destroyer of this world, or setting this world into the path of destruction. With this, I'll move on to the verse number 24. I'll read the verse, read Bhagavan Shankaracharyaji's Bhashya, and we'll take up the meaning. And today I'll also do one more thing. I'll read Puja Gurudev's Bhashya on these three verses together. I'll read the Bhashya of Puja Gurudev on verse 21, 22, 23, and 24. All four of them today only, at the end of the session today. So we'll read verse number 24 of chapter 3. Bhagavan says, Utsideyurime lokaha न कुर्याम कर्म चेदहम संकरस्य च कर्तास्याम उपहन्यामिमाः प्रजाः उत्सीदेयुरिमे लोकाः न कुर्याम कर्म चेदहम संकरस्य च कर्तास्याम उपहन्यामिमाः प्रजाः. Bhagavan Shankaracharya ji writes in his Bhashya for this particular verse, Utsideyuhu vinashyeyuhu ime sarve lokaha lokasthiti nimittasya karmanah abhavat na kuryam karma chedaham kimcha sankarasya cha kartasyam tena karanena upahanyam imah prajaha प्रजानाम अनुग्रहाय प्रवृत्तः तद उपहतिम उपहननम कुर्यामित्यर्थः मम ईश्वरस्य अननुरूपम आपद्ये. Bhagavan says here, even though I have done nothing wrong for the people in this particular world, I have done nothing wrong against anyone in this particular world, still, if I keep this example in front of the people, what example? Na kuryam karma chet aham. If I end up not acting at all, then in the society, I am setting a wrong example, or I am setting an example for people to become averse or become detached from action. Udasin, being averse and detached from action, will look away from action. Now remember this thing, even though Bhagavan himself is talking that we must not be attached to things and all, we must practice detachment. But remember, the practice of detachment Bhagavan is talking about is not for the action Bhagavan is talking about. While practicing detachment, don't say that the first thing I'll pick up for detachment is from action. You are the biggest fool on the earth if you do that. When we give example also, detachment Bhagavan is talking about is that all those things we get attached to while setting into action. Bhagavan is talking about detachment from that. Don't end up, oh, why don't I do one thing? Let me get detached from the action only. There is no action, I'm detached from action. So I will not have detachment of the attachment what comes on the way while doing action also. Isn't that the best way? It's not going to the best way. It's going to lead you down completely into the pit. So don't get into that level at all. So Bhagavan says, Arjun, because of this example, people will take this cue from me that that inaction is something which is superior to action, and the best way to experience or practice detachment is to detach yourself from action, and then I will become one of the reason and to actually move away people from hard work, or people looking away from hard work. I will become responsible for destruction of the world, because if everyone gets into inaction, this world will surely get destroyed. You don't have to do anything for destruction. I'm just giving you an example. if after having a family we do not work, our not working will definitely become one of the reason for destruction of family. Who will take care of them? Who will take care of their food, clothing? Who will take care of their living, housing? Who will take care of their education? If we end up getting detached from action, how will they survive? Bhagwan Bhashikar, Bhagwan Shankaracharya ji writes here, Loka sthiti nimittasya karmana abhavat. That which is the cause of continuation of uh, this world, continuation of this creation, or that which is the cause of continuity of this creation in terms of moving on or moving ahead day by day, that which is the because the what you call the cause of maintenance of this creation. Sthiti means for preserving and maintaining this, for maintaining continuation, either way you can put. What is the cause of continuing this creation, or continually maintaining this creation, or protection of this creation, or nourishment of this creation? It's karma, action. Lokasthiti nimittasya karmana. The action of all of us is one of the cause of continuity of this creation, sustainability of this creation, protection of this creation, nourishment of this creation. And now, one example I'll give you is that if we think, and my Puja Guruji used to give the example of ashram, we can take it back to our own homes also. If somebody is, as an acharya of an ashram or something, has been in place as a head of an ashram or somewhere, if we think that, we can leave the ashram for all those people who are working or serving the ashram, and they will run the ashram, and I have to do nothing, and will become dependent on them for the maintenance of the ashram or the place, then remember, even those who are working under us or who are serving us also, they will also take the cue from us, and they will also start passing on the responsibility to somebody else. See, this is what happens when they pass the buck. If my head is also not working, I will also pass on to someone else. It doesn't matter. Now, just give you an example. I'll give you the example of my Guruji only. That when he used to walk around in the ashram, if he sees something lying down somewhere, he will himself pick it up and put it into the dustbin. Now, what happens is this way of acting. I'm giving you an example purposively. When in front of the people who are working, if he himself picks up things and puts into the dustbin, then all those people who are working will become more serious, that next time Puja Guruji does not have to pick up anything, let us only work. Now, if you see, the head himself does not work. The head of the house, head of the country, or head of this world, for Bhagwan I'm talking about, does not work at all, then remember, he or she is setting a very wrong example for the people under them to follow. Because remember, Yatha Raja Tatha Praja. As the king, so becomes the people in that nation, in that country, in that place. If at the top of who's leading the country is corrupt, trust me, you are paving way for the corruption to come into the every lower level, so to say. Why? Because if you want to make this country corruption free, you have to start from the top. Do not start from the bottom. Because if top changes, bottom will automatically change. If the higher ups change, lower people has to change. That's the thing you need to remember. So Bhagwan says, Arjun, if I give that cue to people that I end up not working, then remember, I'm setting a very, very wrong example for people to do. So I gave you the example of Puja Guruji, that when he used to pick up things and throw, the people who are working in that ashram used to become serious, that next time he doesn't have to point out anything. Now, if the owner of the house, or the head of the ashram, sees something lying down there, points out, why haven't you picked up? You just pick it up and throw. Means what? is not doing it on their own, the person will also call, probably he calls supervisor and scolds him. Supervisor will call the worker. Supervisor will also not pick it up. Will call the worker and say, why have you not done it? That worker will, must have sublet it to somebody else also. They will continuously pass on the buck. But if the head of the house himself takes care to ensure that these small things are taken care of, remember, the people working under them will automatically follow. Now I'm just giving you another example. If the person who is giving the work is manipulative, you trust me, I'm telling you, the manipulative attitude will trickle down to the lower level workers also. If the person who is at the head of the organization is corrupt, you have all the possibility. I would say that you have every possibility on the earth for corruption to trickle down into the lower levels. So you have to correct things at the top. So, if the head of an ashram starts to take care of these things, remember, of the cleanliness aspect I picked up, if they do that, then remember, slowly, gradually, people will ensure that the ashram is clean. You will see that the ashram will start to become very, very neat and clean. But if the head of the house itself, himself or herself, is living in a pile of junk, then remember, that thing will also trickle down to people. The workers under you will never be focused on cleanliness at all, because that's the way you have shown as an example. Well, this entire world is running about, is established, is placed, is in these, what do you call, the center point of action. It's standing on the axis of action. And if everyone in this creation, in the name of detachment, becomes lazy, or what do you call that, breeds laziness in them, remember, this it is very easy for this world to get destroyed. And this is true at every level. Whether you take the example of a house, whether you take the example of village, whether you take the example of society, whether you take the example of a country. And it is applicable if you really want to make a country, a village, a society, a house wealthy. You have to, the head of that place has to set by example in terms of hard work. Because of this lack of hard work, or lack of focus on hard work, or lack of importance of hard work, remember, destruction starts to creep in at any and every place, and slowly, gradually, it will go down, and the wealth strata will also go down, and it will start falling into the bracket of a poor, or at a poor level. Poor level means, from the wealth perspective I'm talking about, whether we talk about country, society, village, or house. I've already given and that as a point earlier. Sankarasya cha kartasyam. And this is a very, very stern thing to be remembered. It is a very important thing to be paid attention towards. It is a very serious matter. Supreme Consciousness Bhagavan Krishna says, I'll become the reason for this is, what do you call that? Admixture. Sankar, Varna Sankar, we have already spoken about in the first chapter. And Arjun gives that example. Sankar means admixture. I will become, and in here, when we talk about Bhagwan says Sankarasya, here the meaning of admixture is about admixture of thought, at the level of thought, at the level of principles of life, at the level of what you call that, at the level of law of this action also, at the level of law of karma also. So all these, at all these levels, it will become admixture. And here the meaning of the word sankar we should not take as varna sankar. Bhagwan is not talking about the admixture of caste here. The sankar word we have heard in the first chapter, there it had come in with the reference of varna sankarta, admixture of caste, when Arjun spoke about. that if I do not see any point in continuing this fight, because if I end up fighting, all the men in the society will die, and because of that, women will get be taken over by the wrong elements in the society, and this entire society system of caste will be blown out of proportion, and there will be admixture of caste. Because of that admixture of caste, this balance of the society will be completely lost. That is the example Arjun gave over there. But here we should not take the example of Sankarasya word as Varna Sankara. Here it is Vichar Sankarya, Siddhant Sankarya, and Jivan, and the Sankarya, Vichar Sankarya means the admixture of thoughts, the admixture at the level of principles of life, if the law the and the admixture at the level of law of this world, or at the law of principle level of philosophy also. We should take that example. And here it will become admixture of thoughts. What do you mean by admixture of thoughts? That there reaches a state of indecisiveness about whether what is to be done, whether hard work is to be done also or not, whether which action to be done. And Bhagwan says as an example, even though Arjuna have nothing left to be attained in all these worlds put together, and the people around me, they have things to be attained in life, I have nothing to be attained. If after having nothing to be attained in this complete world, if I am continuously focused towards hard work, if I'm continuously focused towards action, I want to lead people with the correct example. If having nothing to be attained in life, if my bent of mind, and my mind bends towards what you call that, and towards uh, not working hard, or not working hard at all, or if I work towards inaction completely, remember, because of the accepted greatness of me in this particular creation, people will also end up glorifying my inaction, and glorifying my what you call that, laziness, as something which has made me great, and they will blindly start following him. Now today I'm also bringing up one more thing here. The reality of our society is also such that those people in the sannyas ashram I'm talking about, but many people, I'm not talking about all, some people, sitting in the sannyas ashram, they started to look down upon hard work, they started to look down upon action. They say hard work, working hard also you'll reach where? See us leaving everything we have reached here. And they start to glorify lack of hard work, and they start to glorify that. And because of that, a wrong message has been sent in the society. And this is the way some people in the sannyas ashram have done that for many period of time, and some are mistakenly doing even now also. It has been going on till now also. Supreme consciousness Bhagavan Krishna says, I am completely fulfilled, I am completely contented, I have nothing more to be achieved or attained in this world. But that is why, since I am completely fulfilled and contented and nothing more to be gained or attained, actually there are no duties left for me. I have no duty in this world, in the three worlds, so to say. For rest of the people, well, there is attainable left in their life, there are gainable left in their life, that is why they all have duties. But if people end up seeing this fact, that oh, I being placed at the level of greatness by so many people, I lack hard work, okay, and then what will happen? People will start to blindly follow that. And my example, my this wrong example will be kept in front of other people also, and they will spread delusory statements in the world. They will create confusions in the society. They will, spread confusing statements and confusing ideologies in the society. And because of that wrong ideologies being spread in the society, remember, and what will happen, lack of hard work will become one of the pointers of my greatness. And uh, and people working hard will be coined as it will become the pointer of worldly people. It will become the proof of being worldly. And then people will say that, no, I don't want to be worldly, I want to be following the great one. And the for a great saint also, if this becomes one of the identifying factors, that nothing is being done, that is why probably he is great, then it is not the right example also. Remember one thing, all men of realization, all great sages in this society, they have worked so hard. Their hard work is not explainable by us. I don't think people at the worldly level also would have worked that much hard. I'm telling you honestly, I've seen saints, so I'm telling you, who many saints, many great saints have lived here. Example I can give you is, Swami Tapovanji, then Puja Gurudev. Puja Gurudev, how much amount of hard work he has done in the span of life he has been here. Puja Guruji, yeah, so many examples I can give you. Being a great man of realization, it cannot be the indicator that, because he's not working, that is why he's a great man of realization. It cannot be. If we set that example, rather than protecting and preserving and nourishing the world, this world will get uprooted from where it stand. It will start to fall down and go on its downward axis. That is why, even though I have nothing more to be attained in this world, aham vartma evacha karmani. This much for today. Now I'll read Puja Gurudev's commentary on verses 21, 22, 23, and 24 before or completing the session today. Puja Gurudev in his commentary for verse number 21 says, man is essentially an imitating animal. This is a psychological truth. The moral rejuvenation of a society in any period of history can take place only because of the example set up by the leaders of that nation. Students can be disciplined only when teachers are well behaved. It's a point to be understood and underlined. The minor officials cannot be kind or honest when the rulers of the country are corrupt tyrants. Children's behavior depends entirely upon and is ever controlled by the standard of purity and culture of their parents. With this, Krishna raises his next argument on why Arjuna should act in the world. Unless he diligently acts, the chances are that the entire community will follow the low standard of retreat from action set up by him, and thus they will ultimately invite a general decadence of culture in life. Now, to emphasize the point and to make a lasting impression upon Arjuna of the teaching so far given in chapter 3 from verse 4 up to 21, Lord Krishna indicates himself as an example. The Lord, though already is liberated soul, Mukta, is acting diligently without attachment as a model for his generation to rise up above the slothfulness of the age into vigorous activity. The very creed of Krishna is active resistance to evil. His non-violence is not the instinctive incapacity of the daydreaming coward who cannot stand up against injustice and fight for the accepted principles of national culture. There could not have been any doubt now left in the mind of Arjuna regarding the efficacy of the path of action advised to him. So, as a statement, then the connecting Bhashya with Bhagwan Shankaracharya mentioned, Puja Gurudev says, if you have a doubt as regards the necessity for working for the protection of the masses, why do you not observe me? Why do you not follow my example and try to prevent the masses from going astray, setting up for them an example in yourself? That was the commentary of Puja Gurudev on verse number 21. For a commentary of verse number 22, Puja Gurudev says, being a perfect man, a true yogi, Krishna had no more desire for achieving or gaining anything in the world. Had he wanted a kingdom all for himself, he could have easily carved out one. But he was in the battlefront only with a sense of duty towards the noble and the righteous cause the Pandavas stood for. The life of the Lord till the very moment of the Mahabharata war had been a perfect life of complete detachment. And yet, even though there was nothing he had not gained, nor had he anything further to gain, he was spending himself constantly in activity as though work was to him a rapturous game of enthusiasm and joy. Continuing the same argument, the Lord says, for the commentary of verse number 23, Puja Gurudev says, why should the Lord work? What would be the loss to the generation if he were not to work at all? The masses always imitate their leaders and heroes in their dress, in their behavior, in their moral values, in their actions, in all the branches of their activities. They fix their measure of perfection always by watching the standard of life of their leaders. If the Lord did not continue to work without relaxation, men also would follow in his wake and sink themselves into inactivity, and so into an unproductive existence. In nature, everything acts constantly and sincerely. The entire universe survives and sustains itself by activity. In these stanzas, as everywhere, all along in the Gita, the first person singular is used by Lord Krishna, not in the sense of the blue boy of Vrindavan, but as the Atman or the self-realized man of perfection. A liberated soul realizes himself to be nothing other than the spirit upon which alone is the play of matter sustained, as the dream is sustained upon the waker. If this God principle, though inactive in itself, does not consistently serve the pluralistic phenomenal world as its permanent substratum, the world as it is now cannot exist. The ocean never rises in spite of the billows. Yet it is a fact that without the ocean, the waves cannot rise or dance. Similarly, if the Lord were not to keep on actively serving the world, the cultural life of the generation would stagnate. And what harm is there if I do not act, the Lord says. In the commentary of verse number 24, Puja Gurudev says, if I do not perform action, it will not be conducive to the harmonious progress of the universe, and the entire superstructure of our scientific laws and calculations will tumble down. The universe is not a chaos, it is a cosmos. Lawlessness is not noticed anywhere in the working of the cosmic forces. The phenomenal happenings, the movement of the planets, the rhythmic dance of the seasons, the music of the creation, the law of colors are all happening in a ceremony, implicitly obeying the law governing them all. And this law is otherwise called the mighty power of nature or God. Lord Krishna, as an embodiment of Godhood, is declaring here, if I do not perform work, the world would perish. Scientifically viewed, this declaration is not a superstitious absurdity acceptable only to the blind believers, but it becomes a statement of fact which even the microscope gazers cannot honestly deny. The Lord represents not only the law governing the outer world of things and beings, but He is also the law that governs the inner world of thoughts and emotions. The whole human society is divided into four castes, Varna, by the Hindu saints and sages on the basis of the individual's mental temperaments. In case the law governing the inner psychological temperaments is not functioning strictly, there will be confusion in behavior and instability in character. The general translation admixture of races for Varna Sankara contains a mischievous suggestion for the modern students in as much as they would directly understand it as a divine sanction for the caste tyrannies that are going on in the decadent Hindu society. That was the commentary of Puja Gurudev for verse number 24. That much for today's session. Rest we'll see in the next one. कायेन वाचा मनसेन्द्रियैर्वा बुद्ध्यात्मना वा प्रकृते स्वभावात् करोमि यद्यत् सकलं परस्मै नारायणायेति समर्पयामि श्रीमन्नारायणायेति समर्पयामि ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते ओम शांति 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 हरि ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः हरि ओम ओम तत्सत्